5 years ago today, the Toronto Raptors won the NBA championship. So for this video, I thought it'd be cool to reflect a little bit and also show you some of the memorabilia I have from that season. But for the people who don't watch NBA basketball, let me quickly get you up to speed. While I don't live in Toronto, I live close enough to consider all their major sports teams as local. For basketball and baseball, the Toronto teams are essentially Canada's teams since they're the only ones based in the country. Vancouver used to have a basketball team, but they moved to Memphis in 2001. The Toronto Raptors were established in 1995, making them a pretty young franchise, all things considered. I don't know much about their history since I grew up watching hockey and didn't start watching NBA basketball until 2016. I guess that makes me a halfway bandwagoner. Anyways, around that time the Raptors were consistently a playoff team but usually failed to make much noise. I tuned into the 2016 playoffs and fell in love with the game since, and nowadays it's the only professional league that I pay attention to. In short, the years leading up to the championship were pretty frustrating. It started with an Eastern Conference Finals loss to LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers in 6 games. It was the first time the franchise has ever made the conference finals, and the Cavs were a formidable opponent. Pretty good achievement and something to build on for next season. And next season went well, but then they met LeBron James and the Cavs in the playoffs again, and this time things went much worse. They got 4-0'd, and it was not particularly close. Next season they are still good. Very good actually, achieving a franchise best 59 wins. But oh fuck, not this guy again. Boom, another quick 4-0. And one of those losses came at the hands of a LeBron game winner that's cemented in his career highlight reel. His playoff record against the Raptors for the past 3 seasons was 12-2. Dude owned us. And as a result, Toronto was given the nickname LeBronto. So at this point the team was kinda stuck. The Raptors were the only team that was folding against him like this. It was hard to tell how good they were because maybe if they just didn't play LeBron they could be a championship caliber team. You should be able to beat the best to be the best, but for some reason the Raptors looked at LeBron the same way the Covenant looked at Master Chief.
Who was it? Who do you think? The demon is here?
Fortunately for the Raptors, a situation was brewing over in San Antonio that would eventually net them a superstar with nerves of steel. Kawhi Leonard had an extremely turbulent season, having only played 9 out of 82 games. He basically ended up feuding with his team over his injuries and asked for a trade. I'm not gonna go into the full logistics of the trade, but basically Kawhi didn't have much leverage since it was a pretty risky trade for most teams. He only had 1 year left on his contract, so there was the possibility that whatever team trades for him, he just leaves after. So if things don't work out, you'd essentially be giving up assets for nothing. But he is really good when he is healthy. So the Raptors looked at the core they had and said, fuck it, we ball, and offered a trade to the Spurs for a Hail Mary at the championship. The Raptors seemed to be on the verge of blowing things up anyways, so this move was a final swing for the fences. Unfortunately for Raptors fans, we had to send out DeMar DeRozan. He was a great player, but sadly couldn't get it done when it mattered. At first, nobody really knew what would happen. Kawhi didn't want to be here, and we weren't sure what state he'd be in or if he'd try hard at all. He needed to prove that he was worth max money for a future contract, so there was that. But then he said something during the opening press conference that would help alleviate some of the skepticism.
I'm a fun guy. Obviously, I love the game of basketball. I don't even know where you're sitting at.
So yeah, it was pretty funny. At least it looked like he was somewhat interested in the upcoming season. Management ended up making a few more personnel changes. One of those was firing head coach Dwayne Casey, who oversaw the LeBronto years, and promoting assistant coach Nick Nurse to the head spot. The final personnel change came in the form of a mid-season trade in which the Raptors traded for Marc Gasol, a veteran center from the Memphis Grizzlies. The last boost the Raptors needed actually came from LeBron himself. He decided to take his talents to the Western Conference, so the boogeyman was gone. With no LeBron as the Eastern favorite, the race was wide open. The regular season strategy for the Raptors was to keep Kawhi as healthy as possible until the postseason. Part of this plan was resting him one game of a back-to-back. This strategy only works, by the way, if the team is still good enough without him, and they were. Now let's go to the playoffs. In the first round they played the Orlando Magic. The Raptors got upset in Game 1 with DJ Augustine hitting a game-winning 3-point shot. Not a great start, but they won the next 4 straight without much struggle. I believe the one game that was close had a pretty large free throw discrepancy. The refs were probably on something. Round 2 against the Philadelphia 76ers was a 7-game nail-biter. The first true test for this Raptors team, and a major carry job by Kawhi Leonard, where he averaged 35 points and 10 rebounds. But more importantly, he hit the shot of a lifetime.
Is this the dagger?
This is where us Raptors fans really started believing. Not only was that shot the clutchest thing we've ever seen a Raptors player do, but now we were only one series away from the finals. The conference finals were against the Milwaukee Bucks, the number 1 seed in the East and number 1 seed overall. This marked only the second time the Raptors made the conference finals. The Raptors lost the first 2 games and weren't looking very good. Luckily, they won an absolutely necessary Game 3, but just barely in double overtime. Going down 0-3 would have been a death sentence. No team in history has ever come back from that. Whatever adjustments the Raptors made worked, and they managed to win 4 straight to seal the series in 6 and book their ticket to the NBA Finals. And now the greatest test of them all, the Golden State Warriors. A historically good opponent plus the added pressure of it being the finals. The Raptors had managed to beat them in 2 meetings during the regular season, but we all knew that that didn't mean anything. Winning the East was already a major accomplishment for the franchise, but nothing compares to winning the title. If your team makes it to this stage, you tell yourself that no matter the outcome, it's great that they came this far, but deep in your heart you know it's championship or bust, baby. Despite being the 2 seed in the East, the Raptors still had a better record than the Warriors, giving them home court advantage for the series. The Warriors were also without Kevin Durant, who got injured earlier in the playoffs. Game 1 goes well, close for the most part, but the Raptors managed to pull ahead. Game 2, not so much. Although the score made it look close, the Raptors got destroyed coming out of halftime and had to battle uphill the rest of the way. Klay Thompson would also leave the game early with a hamstring injury, adding to the long list of hobbled Golden State players. Game 3 was decisively won by the Raptors, despite the heroics of Steph Curry. Without Thompson and Durant, Golden State lacked the firepower to keep up. Game 4 was surprisingly another road victory for the Raptors. Klay Thompson returned, but a massive game from Kawhi and Serge Ibaka helped secure the victory. And now, with a chance to win it all at home, it would be very Toronto sports to blow this opportunity. And blow it they did. But it was about as close as it could have been, so not a total fail. Durant returned from his right calf injury, although it might have been too early as he ruptured his Achilles in the same leg early in the second quarter. The Raptors clawed back after being down double digits, but a Kyle Lowry 3-point attempt for the win was blocked by Draymond Green's fingertip. What a moment that would have been had he made it. Unfortunately, our movie moment already happened. But despite the loss, the Raptors still had a good chance. They just needed one more win and they were heading back to the Oracle where they were undefeated that season. Durant was out of the picture and Golden State's personnel were not in great shape. Raptors fans were still optimistic. As soon as the game started, Lowry wasted no time. Dude came out of the gate firing. If it was a video game, you'd think he was cheating. It was a competitive game wire to wire, but as the clock wound down with Toronto in the lead, we all had that feeling that it was happening. That for the first time in a while, it wouldn't be Golden State or LeBron James holding the trophy. And it happened. Oh wait. Uh-oh.
Oh shit!
There we go. Oh wait. Alright, for real this time. Couple of WTF moments, but it happened.
There's a new NBA champion, and it's a team from Toronto, Canada.
Canada, the NBA title is yours.
The NBA championship is due north.
Everybody was in a really good mood for the next few days. I think sports might be the last piece of media to be able to have that effect, being a cultural event so big that everybody knows about it. The entire playoff run united people across the country in a way that only sports can. The last time I saw something like it was when Crosby scored that Olympic game winner. I didn't go to the parade, but from what I saw, it was crazy. Now let's take a look at some of the merch and stuff I have from that season. First, we got this hoodie, which was based on one of the jersey designs. The Raptors had a few jerseys with this chevron logo. Here's a hat based on the red chevron jersey. They wore these when they won the championship, so the team ended up baking the chevron design into the default jersey. At the time it was cool, but after a few seasons I think people are over it. Next we got these, which are CJ's PJs. I got these as a gift. For a while the Raptors had a player named CJ Miles, and he did a collaboration with GoDaddy which spawned a set of pajamas. CJ got traded as part of the deal for Marc Gasol. I don't wear pajamas and I never really cared much for the player, but they seem soft enough to be okay to sleep in. This shirt was from Costco, I think. Quality's not too good, but it was cheap. I also have a wide variety of Raptors related sweatshirts and hats from over the years, but I can't remember if any of these came from the championship year, so I figured I'd just show you them anyways. These are a bunch of magazines that came out after the championship. For the most part, these all cover the same things, such as a recap of the playoffs, the roster, and some history about the organization. These two Sports Illustrated issues are identical, just with different covers. And this last thing isn't merch, but it's still worth mentioning. During the season, Danny Green, who was acquired as part of the Kawhi trade, did a live show for his podcast, and I went to see it. Norman Powell was the featured guest, so he was also there. Honestly, I probably enjoyed this more than I would watching a game live. The tickets were like $40 and the crowd wasn't that big, so it was a chill environment. Plus, the venue was attached to a mall, so getting in and out was pretty easy. Overall, 10/10. I wish more athletes would do stuff like this. And yeah, I guess that's really all I have to say. I apologize if this was kind of hard to follow and lacked certain details. There's obviously a lot more nuance to what happened, but I don't want to drag this out too long, and a lot of it you just had to be there for. Titles are hard to win, and shout out to the Raptors organization for getting it done. Not only was the city longing for a title, but it was the last normal NBA season before the Big C hit, so it really couldn't have come at a better time. What started off as a last stand ended up being a monumental achievement, and I gotta say I'm pretty blessed to have been able to experience it at the time that I did. Making this video was a fun trip down memory lane, and even though it was brief, I hope you enjoyed it too. Thanks for watching.